What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. And you know what today is. It's a really special day. I mean, super special today. It's a Wealth Wednesday, but not just any Wealth Wednesday. We are launching our real estate club, the Wealth Wednesdays Real Estate Club. And of course, Stacey Tisdale is here with me.
Happy Wealth Wednesdays, everybody. The first Wednesday of the new year.
Absolutely. And we have two very special guests here with us.
We have Seale Ibrahim, who
Let's
you're going to
go.
be hearing a lot about, and we're so excited. He will be joining us. You will be able to hear him every month when we do our real estate segments. We have launched this Wealth Wednesdays Real Estate Club with the goal of getting $100 million of new real estate into our community.
Got to put that goal out there.
You got to put that
Yes.
goal out there.
There's going to be a huge transfer of wealth in 2025.
Yep. So many people think home ownership's out of their reach. So many people dream of home ownership. This is the year you're going to make it a reality. We're so excited about this. And real estate's just always been our passion. You've known that from listening to us. But I know, Angela, when we talked about this idea, you just jumped over it.
Yeah, you know what? Real estate has been something that I got my real estate license in New York, and I'm actually got some other announcements about that, but I'm going to be leading a team in Brooklyn as well when it comes to real estate. And I'm always a big fan of, if you want to do something, get as much knowledge as you can about it and talk to professionals and people who have done it and people who you can trust, who you actually know. And we have Lawrence here with us too. And Lawrence actually worked with you, Sam, right?
That's correct. That's right. About a year now, right?
Yeah, it's been a year. Yep, started last year around this time.
Yeah, he's got an amazing story. We're so excited to do this. People out there think that owning a property, owning an investment property, owning a home to live in is so far and it's unachievable. We're here to show you that it's closer than you think.
You know, and along the lines of wanting to do real estate, I was reading this story yesterday about from the Golden State Warriors, Moses Moody. He would play ball, but then he also wanted to get into real estate, and he did an internship at Shorenstein Properties. And so now he's like really doing it. But I'm a fan of not just investing, but also learning everything that you can and maximizing all of that, because it's harder for people to get over on you, but also harder for you to miss out on opportunities if you have the access and the knowledge.
Absolutely.
And as we'll hear today, there's so many creative ways you can get into real estate without having the money you think you need to get it, without having the credit score you think you need. And this, you're going to learn all of that.
Yes.
And I was looking at some recent news too over the past couple of days, and I saw a story and a poll in the Wall Street Journal that 90% of Americans are starting to feel like home ownership is out of their reach. And that really struck a chord with me. And then it should be in their reach. They should be wanting it, because Angela and I have been talking about this for a couple of days, that the Aspen Institute found that a homeowner's net worth is $400,000, the average median homeowner in the United States, whereas the median net worth of a renter is $10,400.
It's a huge difference.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, 40 times just from home
that's
ownership.
crazy.
So we're going to make it accessible to everybody. And the second Wednesday of every month, you can listen to us do segments of all things real estate. But Sam, first tell people what they're going to actually experience by being in the Wealth Wednesdays Real Estate Club.
Yeah. So as part of the Wealth Wednesdays Club, a real estate club, you're going to get not only firsthand knowledge and experience about all different aspects, from the BRRRR strategy of buying rental properties and buying them with very little money invested long term. So you start building your wealth just by simply owning property. You're going to learn the fix and flip process. We're going to talk about how to raise money. We're going to talk about something called wholesaling real estate contracts, which allows you to get involved in real estate and start making money without actually having to buy properties firsthand. You're going to be able to network. Network's probably the biggest part of it, because you're part of a community that supports each other and works together. And Lawrence can speak on that all day long, right? And hopefully he will today. You're going to also get access to us to be for Q&A, to ask questions, to guide you, to help you. If you come across something, chances are we've dealt with it before. We've done this a few times, right? Once, twice, maybe 1,400 times at that, right? So I think we've come across a couple
number.
things. Exactly.
That's exactly one of the reasons we wanted to do this with you. You've done over 1,400 real estate transactions.
Yes.
How big is the portfolio?
The portfolio is worth over $80 million. We've purchased over $250 million in real estate.
Purchased over
I did it because I want to go to the hotel in the Dominican Republic.
Let's go.
Buying a
Let's
hotel in
go.
the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
And over 600 properties. And we really wanted to do this, but so many people out there are real estate quote unquote experts, but they've done maybe 10, 20 transactions. So really your track record.
Or maybe none.
Or none.
Exactly.
Well, Lawrence, I know
exactly.
you were about to say something.
Oh no, you was talking about the hotel. I said in 3 weeks you'll be able to visit 2 of the hotels because I'm actually closing on the.
Oh,
You see
on the
that?
hotel in
1
Dominican
year in the
Republic.
game.
Yeah.
Wait,
Look at
Back
that.
up.
you didn't tell us this.
You have to, okay, Lawrence has been working with Sam for over a year. Now we've stolen both of them to create this Wealth Wednesdays Real Estate Club. But you met Sam in late 2023.
Correct.
Fill in the blanks on this, well, no blanks, just a question.
Right.
You bought 4 properties in 2024 and you
Correct.
didn't use any of your own money.
But before
correct.
you say that, I want to know how you even knew you could trust Sam and how you met him.
True.
Because sometimes people are very scared to take that first step. So tell me what your process was to even say, let me link up.
Yeah. So I had been traveling to DR, for the last 3 years prior to 2023. My best friend bought a villa out there, and I was interested in buying property over there. So at the time, I stayed in contact with one of the realtors who was showing us properties previously when I visited, and she had an email list. So every month I get like a new, email like, hey, this is what we have going on. So October 2023 comes around. There was a hotel that I wanted to purchase. So I put an offer in, went through the whole, back and forth. But at the time, the owner didn't want to do any type of creative or seller financing. So we didn't do the deal.
Okay.
2 weeks later, maybe like a week later, she called me like, hey, I know you kind of bummed out. You didn't get the hotel. But I know these 3 brothers, they recently bought a hotel, a year ago, and they're converting a few of them to condos. Maybe you should get one small, start small, get your foot in the ground, and then eventually you can kind of grow up. So end up calling Siam. We ended up talking for like an hour. Just he was very open, genuine, shared a lot of information. I'm very inquisitive. I always ask questions. So he was like, he wasn't in a rush to get me off the phone. I just kept asking questions. I had somebody, with this kind of knowledge and, that type of experience. And then so end up following him after that call on social media. And then in January of last year, he posted something saying he's starting a program. He's going to show people how to do real estate. I DM'd him immediately, and I asked him, what the process was, and I signed up. Like, sight unseen.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
And
So you
when
got
you
a
were
referral from somebody who had done something, and then you had a chance to check it out, and you were already interested, but then you said, let me take that leap.
Correct. And then when I talked to him, just hearing, because I had already started looking at real estate and had an idea, when he was talking, it was very credible because I had already done some stuff already, so I knew that he wasn't just, just making stuff up, So
And what's creative financing for people who are listening? Because sometimes some people who have never done this before may not understand that there's different ways to go than just a traditional mortgage.
Absolutely. I think the perfect way to explain creative financing is tell them how you're getting into this hotel now that you're buying, all right, in a few weeks from now.
Right. Yeah, so creative financing, you just want to think about traditionally you have to go through a bank, go through the whole underwriting process, a job, credit scores, tax records, and all that. Traditional or creative financing is the owner essentially becomes like your bank. So for my particular deal, we're going to get this property with only 10% down, and the owner's going to be our bank, and we're just paying him monthly.
Like a land contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's exactly what it
similar
is.
to
Yeah.
that. Exactly.
They do that in Detroit a lot.
Yeah,
That's why I know.
that's
So
exactly what it is.
instead of getting a loan because your credit, whatever, you're able to now you're paying them the loan. Do you still pay interest the same way you would to a bank? How does that work?
Yeah, so the thing that makes it creative is you can create it however you want.
However you want. It's a
So
contract.
It's
Yeah.
a contract, yeah. So the seller, went back and forth, a lot of negotiation, and we were able to find a happy medium for both of us that he was happy with and that me and my investment team were happy with as well.
So I think you're downplaying this, bro, because this is a huge deal. All right. So his monthly payment's gonna be like $6,000, and he
For
should
a
be able
hotel?
to he should be able to produce over $20,000 a month. On this
That's
property.
amazing.
So this one property could cash flow like crazy and cover all the living expenses that anyone needs to operate from just one deal. And to bring it around full circle, this is the same deal he looked at a year ago, all right, that wasn't able to get structured just because he didn't have the information to structure it.
Okay.
Correct. So when I mentioned that I wasn't able to close that deal, it was that exact deal.
That's the same deal.
It's the same
and
deal
the fact
came
that it
back.
was still there for a year shows you
Exactly.
that
Yeah,
the
it
owner
was-
probably was in a position where he was like, look, this still hasn't sold. It's been a year. And they're still paying expenses on something
course.
that they're trying to get out of. And so
course.
now it puts them in a position where you see it's been happening for that long,
Yep.
where they're like, okay, let's figure this out.
Exactly. So in 1 year, he brought it full circle. The deal that brought us together is now closing. All right, he's going to cash flow like crazy off this deal, and I'm sure this is the first of many.
Oh yeah.
Bring it full circle to the club. You would have never I'm listening to this and I'm like, I would have never even thought to do any of this. And that's what the beauty of the real estate club is.
Absolutely.
And what was his mentoring like?
Yeah, so joining, the Hero Homes U, which is the original program that I was in, I learned all this stuff about creative financing, how to negotiate with a seller, try to find different pain points that might make them want to do seller financing, because typically most owners, they're going to want as much money as possible up front.
Right.
But when you start to talk to them and try to understand, like, okay, what's their real pain, start talking about tax benefits, not having to, worry about capital gains by taking all lump sum right away, then they start to understand, like, okay,
I'm doing a land contract now. I'm actually selling property that way also.
Detroit?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It makes me so proud hearing you talk like this,
Yeah.
right? And using all these concepts. I'm like, that's my student.
I know,
I
right?
did that.
What was your experience before that? Were you already a homeowner, property owner?
So I had did wholesaling prior to that. So
Okay.
wholesaling, yeah. So buying, just pretty much flipping contracts. Yeah.
Why don't you explain what wholesaling is? 'Cause a lot of people out there don't exactly know what it is.
And I really want you also to share with them. He wasn't like, you learned this in one webinar or you learned this and he went away. He really holds your hand through the process and brings you through the process.
Oh yeah, no, 1,000%. So I'll talk about wholesaling, and then I'll talk a little bit more, how Siam was able to help me through this process. So wholesaling essentially is, imagine a property is worth $200,000, but because somebody's having some type of financial distress, some pain, divorce, death, like anything that normal people go through, and the house might need work, and they don't have the finances to put it to put the work in to get to that retail value to sell it at retail. So an investor like me comes in finding like, hey, I'll give you $100,000 for this property. They know it's worth 200, but they don't have the time and effort to go in to make it worth 200.
They don't want to go into foreclosure.
Right. So they'll sell it to me for 100, and then I find somebody like Siam who's done 1,400 transactions, who's buying properties every day. Like, hey, I have this property, and I'll sell it to you for 115. So now I have this one contract for 100,000 with the homeowner. Then I have a second contract with Siam, the investor, at 115. I take that to a title company, and at closing, the homeowner gets their 100,000. Siam gets a new property for 115, and I get a $15,000 check for bringing it together. So that's
It's like
wholesale-
brokering.
Exactly. So I never actually owned the property, but I made money by bringing it together.
Right.
And I think one of the coolest features about this club is each week people are going to get vetted investment opportunities. Sam, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a large marketing team that goes out there and looks for these motivated sellers to find great deals, and we present those deals directly to the members of the club. So you get first access to these deals that you can close on. So you get all this information. You've learn to fix and flip. You learn the BRRRR process to buy rental properties. You learn how to wholesale contracts, and then you say, all right, now what do I do next? Well, you can find your first deal right inside the club. Which is beautiful, because I think a lot of things what stops people from actually going out there and pull the trigger is sometimes they're like, where do I start, right? So we give you your starting process right there.
Or you might have a great opportunity, but maybe you don't have the capital to be able to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And it's something you can bring to the table and see, I don't want this opportunity to slip away.
Correct.
Maybe I need some help.
Correct.
And so I can partner with somebody else.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I think that's going to be beautiful about this, because we're building community. I want students to work together, right? So we're going to get access to a lot of people's situations. We'll say, all right, this person is working a full-time job, but they have some money they want to invest on their in properties, but they don't really want to be the one out there managing, checking contractors, things like that. But this person has the time to do this. Let's pair these people up, and together they have the full package, right? And I think that's what a beautiful thing with what we've done over the last year, which has been the reason that Lawrence has been so successful. He's been able to network within the group and do deals together. Yeah.
When you told me this story, I thought of you, Lawrence. I read, 80% of people break their New Year's resolutions by the second week of February.
Yeah.
I'm a research nerd. That's just me. Meanwhile, 80% of people achieve their goals if they write them down, tell a friend about them, and then give that friend weekly progress reports. So accountability and community, 100% the game changer. How important is that community to what you were able to succeed?
Oh yeah, the community played a big part into my success last year. Obviously, my first investor came within the community. To Siam's point, got into the program, wanted to do real estate, but realized with the busy job, busy professional career, they didn't have the time to manage contractors, source materials, do all the back and forth day-to-day operations. But they had some capital, so I had to, I had the time. So we worked together. They put up the money, and I'm doing all the day-to-day handling, sourcing materials, dealing with contractors, making sure the project and go successful.
And people have to understand the value of that as being a project manager, having somebody that's staying on top of everything.
Absolutely.
Back to my building in Detroit. We have Jessica, who has been the person that every single day she's dealing with different things, different issues with the contractors, with the city, with city council, with making sure that we're up to date with all of our permits, making sure that small things happen, like somebody broke a window. Now we know we have to get a new window. We're trying to figure out how to get into a permanent mortgage. And she's been the person that's been kind of spearheading all that because it is time consuming.
Yeah, of course.
There was a covenant that we had to get out of. It was a whole long process to make that happen, to get a tax abatement. That's a whole nother long process, but somebody has to stay on top of all that paperwork, and also managing the contractor and making sure that as he's getting the money to get stuff done, that we're getting things at the best prices that we can possibly get them, but it's still quality materials.
And that the payments are matching the progress.
Yeah, because some people might feel like, oh, you didn't put any money up, but that sweat equity of being able to be the person that's there that I can rely on is extremely important.
I agree 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Bring us your bad credit scores too, correct?
That's right. So there's so many different ways you can get into a deal, all right? So like he was able to joint venture with someone to get into a deal. So this whole misconception, there's all these misconceptions out there that you need a lot of money to do real estate. That's all cap, right? There's so many different ways you can get into a deal. One way that I tell a lot of my mentees that people just don't know about because they don't have the information. So as part of the real estate club, you're going to get this information firsthand from people that are actually doing deals, not just theory. Like for instance, if you want to buy a rental property, your first rental property, but you don't have, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to put down on the property, no problem, right? We love targeting people that are retiring landlords because they've owned these properties for years. So their basis is very low. So I can go in and offer this person $100,000 for a property they might have paid $30,000 for 20 years ago. Right? And I'll tell them, hey, Mr. Seller, I can get you 80% of this purchase price from the bank today, but I'm going to ask you to finance that down payment for the next 5 years. Right, that $20,000. So you are already making money at the $80,000 you're getting today. All right, I get to get into this property, start cash flowing, doing my exit plan with it. All right, and over the next 5 years, the rent that I'm receiving is going to pay you your 20% you're looking. But here's the benefits for you. Number one, you don't have to manage this anymore. Number two, you're making profit from what you're getting today. And number three, you get to defer your taxes on the money you haven't received yet. So your capital gains, you get to push back, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. And you literally walk into that deal with little to no money out of pocket. And my mentees have done this tons of times over, and you guys are going to get this real hand knowledge from people that are doing the business every single day.
What about mortgage assumption? Because that's a thing too, right? With interest rates being as high as they are now.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us, if you had bought something years ago, you might have locked in an amazing rate.
Yeah.
And so a mortgage assumption is another thing that people don't know as much about.
Absolutely. There's mortgage assumption, and there's also subject to purchases. So in the mortgage assumption, you get to take over someone's mortgage and you get their term. So if they got a great rate, you get to assume that great rate. The negative, however, is you need to qualify for that mortgage to assume the mortgage, right? Which could be cumbersome if you don't have tax returns or good credit or whatever it be. But there's another way you can also buy it where you can take that property on, transfer the deed, but leave the existing mortgage in place and take the property subject to the existing mortgage. So you still get those same terms, but you don't have to qualify for that mortgage. You get to step into those amazing terms and buy this property without having to qualify for it. I mean, there's so many ways that you're going to learn in this real estate club how to do real business and get deals done.
Talk about how much access people will have to our experts.
Absolutely. You're going to get access to myself, my brothers, Xavier, Emil, Jonah, the whole team.
Angela and me.
Angela, right, Stacy, right, the whole team. And here's what the great thing is. As students start achieving success, we turn the students into mentors and coaches too. So the students can learn from other people that were just in their spot not that long ago, right? They can talk to Lawrence's, they can talk to Brandon, they can talk to Natalia or to Natalie or to Emmanuel that were just sitting where they were 6 months, a year ago, got some success, and see, hey, what were your roadblocks, right? So that if you're facing something, chances are anyone in this group has probably faced it at some point in time as well.
Right.
And we can talk to you firsthand from real practitioners of the business.
I think this is so important right now because since the election and we're going into such unknowns next year, a lot of people feel so much uncertainty. And it's you've really seen something that's positive and optimistic, people kind of turning within and saying, okay, what can we do together? And that's one of the reasons we said, okay, let's do this now.
Yes.
I just love it. You might not, again, you might not have the credit score. You might not have the down payment. You might not have the time, bringing everybody together.
Correct.
So we're super excited. There's something everybody has to memorize, first of all, because it's easy to memorize.
And that's us too. We have to make sure.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's do a quiz and see who memorized.
Okay, I'm going to give you the Wealth Wednesdays, Wednesdays with an S, realestateclub.com. That's really long. So you can text the word, listen to this, party to 689-215-7664 because tonight we are having a party.
Yes.
We're having a launch party.
Let's go.
At
free
7 p.m.
virtual learning
Eastern
party.
time. This is whether you've joined the club yet, which you can do at Wealth Wednesdays, realestateclub.com. I said that before. What you want to learn more about it. That's why we're having this launch party. We want you put aside 7 p.m. Eastern time, get yourself a beverage, and say, what are you going to learn in that party?
Yeah, we're going to give you, you get to ask questions, right? You get to interact. We're going to teach you guys everything from, the correct way to set up your entity to, how to close your first deal, right? So we're going to give you the broad frameworks that firsthand. If you come and join this, you're going to be closing deals. Every single person in our group, right, over the past 12 months has closed their first, if not their second deal. So we welcome you to come and be part of the group.
And I want to say why this is so important too, because I know you're a research nerd, Stacey, but according to Redfin, only 2.5% of homes in the U.S. changed hands in the first 8 months of 2024. That's the lowest that it's been in 30 years. And people get really discouraged when they read headlines about what's going on with real estate, about the lack of housing and all the different creative ways that they're trying to make sure that people are able to have that. Because to be honest, like for me, I'm thinking about the future. Right, and how I can set myself up so that one day I can comfortably say I have money coming in and I can still live the lifestyle that I want and enjoy myself when I'm ready to retire and not feel like I'm stuck where I have to be figuring out where am I going to work? What if something happens here? Now I can't pay my bills. I want to have myself in a position where I own properties, I have rent coming in, I can also sell them.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of real estate, right? It's a great savings vehicle for your future. I actually have a question for you too, right? Because that was a perfect segue to what I actually had for you guys. Both of you being, women of color, right? There's all these misconceptions out there. What were some of the roadblocks or obstacles you had to come, or some of the beliefs that you had to overcome? Because you both own real estate, right? For you to jump over that bridge and actually get into the home ownership or property ownership side.
I think one of the first things for me when I bought my first house, what was hard was, I ended up getting a woman as my broker.
Okay.
Shout out to Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
And before that, I was dealing with men. Sorry, guys. But it felt like they just wanted to sell me a property and they didn't really care if I loved it, if it was a good investment. Because sometimes when you deal with people who flip homes too, they don't do the best quality work.
Sure.
So what was really important for me was to make sure that I got an independent inspection. To have somebody come in to say, okay, this is wrong, because if you don't do that, and to me at that time, I was trying to put all my money into putting a down payment, but paying $750 to have somebody come and inspect could save you I ended up actually, I had put money in for this deal and then took it back. Because I was like, the inspector told me he didn't think it was a good idea, and I trusted an expert. And I maybe wasn't going to get one, but my best friend who had just bought a house referred her to me and was like, you need to do this. And thank God she told me that, because that's why I did it and didn't end up buying the property that I had already put down some money on because I wanted to go into contract.
Yeah, it saved you thousands of dollars in potential repairs.
And when I started working with Sarah, she was really great about being like, look, she would even tell me certain properties that I don't know if this is a good idea for you. She wasn't just trying to sell me anything.
Right.
So I think it's just really important to make sure that you work with people, like we are saying, who have your best interests at heart.
Absolutely.
Because it's not like when people are benefiting from this program, it's not like, okay, if they buy something, I'll get this percentage. That's not how it works, right? You're teaching people, and of course your time is valuable and worth that as well, but it's not like I need to sell this so I can get my commission. It doesn't work that way.
For sure.
And so I just think that was one of the roadblocks. And then even just not having the knowledge, because I don't come from a family where people are always, investing and entrepreneurial. And so, and that's fine, because a lot of us don't come from that background. So a lot of it was me just trying to figure things out on the fly and on my own. And I didn't know a lot of people who had done it.
Okay. And how about you, Stacey? I mean, because there's all these misconceptions. Oh, you need a lot of money. You need perfect credit. Oh, interest rates are high right now, right? So what were some of the roadblocks you had to overcome that could possibly help some other people that are on the fence about buying their first property? Because now is always the best time to buy real estate.
It was a really personal thing. I had best friends, like brother and sister, but a very critical ex-husband. And my father was starting to get into dementia, so getting a little paranoid. So a lot of no's around me.
I got you.
An awful lot of you can't do stuff around me. And I'm just a whole nother day story. I've grown up in a lot of that just because of how and where I grew up. A lot of you can't.
A lot of negative
So a
Nancy's.
lot of my mindset things that I teach people, I had to put to the test myself. You tell people they have to get over themselves. You know, you have to do that work to get over yourself. And everything we're talking about, everything everyone's hearing, it really all comes down to one thing: willingness.
Yeah.
Your willingness to be uncomfortable, your willingness to get over yourself, your willingness. So many people out here, how many of you are listening to this? Yeah, this sounds like a pretty good idea. The only way it is going to work for you, the only way it's going to work for you is if you actually do it. So you have to be willing.
You can't let fear paralyze you into doing nothing. I think that's the worst thing because, listen, everything does also involve risk. And I want to say that too because I love real estate and I've had my struggles and challenges and things not go the way that I want to, but I'm up in general, like across the board. It's been, fortunately a journey, a positive journey for me, and I love it. It's something that it made me go get my real estate license because I did like it so much, and I wanted to make sure I was as knowledgeable as possible about everything that it is that I want to do. So but I never wanted to be so scared that I did nothing.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's incredible. So just one other thing I wanted you to touch on before we get ready to party. And you guys all get ready to party.
Ready.
Going into uncertain economy, everything, uncertain interest rates this year, you talk often about it's not about market timing. Those aren't the things that can hold you back, and there's still ways to make money in real estate because what really matters is the price at which you purchase. Talk
Correct.
about that.
Yeah, so people come to me and say, how are you buying properties now? Interest rates are high. Aren't you worried about the market,
Economy.
the market dropping in terms of pricing, the economy? Now is always the best time to buy real estate. People always need a place to live, right? Yes, interest rates are high, so that just means I'm more critical of my underwriting, right? I got to buy it deeper. I got to make sure that it's going to cash flow. So I buy it a little cheaper to make sure the rent I receive will cover the higher interest rate. So I'm buying real estate right now, but guess what? When the rates drop, I'm buying more real estate, right? I'm going to go even harder, right? And that's what I try to teach people.
Right.
So you just have to adjust for the times. Real estate tends to go up over time. You will have little dips, yes, where the market changes. The stock market, crypto, they all have fluctuations.
Yeah.
Nothing's a permanent, straight up, right? But with inflation, with shortage of housing, right? Over time, real estate tends to go up. If you look at real estate 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 10 years ago to what it is today, you might have had little dips, but I can almost put money behind it that it's worth more now than it was 20 years ago.
I think about those people who bought those brownstones in
Yes.
Bed-Stuy when they were $40,000 and now they're worth $4 million.
Exactly.
And that's something that can create wealth for generations to come when you take care of that property and
When
don't
I
have
was
to
a
sell
kid,
it.
I grew up in the Lower East Side, 4th Street and Avenue A, right?
Oh, wow.
And
It was so different
It was
now.
so different back then. And I remember my dad's friends saying, hey, my dad's name is Abdul, and they were like, hey, Abdul, you need to buy these condos and co-ops up because this area's about to change. And my dad was like, he did what he could, but he's like, I don't have the money. He didn't have the mindset. He didn't have the knowledge. And those things were
knowledge.
selling
It's
for
not money.
$45,000, $30,000. They're now worth way over $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. One bedrooms are worth $1.5 million in the area now,
Right.
right? So you just got to get in the game, buy real estate, make sure you underwrite it right, have the right team showing you how to underwrite it right, have the right calculators to underwrite it right, make sure it's in the cash flow, and you can ride any wave of economy, ride any dips in prices, right, and you'll be well on your way to wealth through real estate.
Homeowners 40 times more wealth
That's
than
right.
renters.
That's right.
And that's why we started this. That's why we're going to be doing it all year. We are going to help our community buy $100 million in real estate this year.
We are transferring
have live
wealth.
access, live people constantly. We're in it. Again, everybody memorize this. Text party.
I can remember that part.
To 689-215-7664 for our free launch party. Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Angela will be there. I'll be there live. Can't miss a party. Sam will be there. You can get your questions answered live. It's going to be incredible. If you want to go straight to, I'm ready to join this even before the party, go to wealthwednesdaysrealestateclub.com. I know it's long, but it is easy to remember. wealthwednesdaysrealestateclub.com.
If you want to be like Lawrence right here, right, in 12 months, buy 4 real estate properties, right, with very little to no money out of pocket, right?
How much money was actually out of pocket?
Like $0.
Zero.
That's very little money.
like $0. Like,
So if you want to be like Lawrence right here, and in the span of 1 year, buying a hotel that's worth how much? How much you buying it for?
$1.65 million.
$1.65 million, okay? Join the Wealth Real Estate Club, right? There's no better place out there to get real hand knowledge from people doing the business each and every day.
And just last point, Angela and I, Wealth Wednesdays we've been doing for almost 10 years now, and we've always just brought you the very, very best, and we took great care
We
to
vetted
finding,
out.
so we vetted.
Yeah, because I'm like, Stacey, we got to make sure, and it's always on point. That's why I feel like this is a perfect situation.
Yeah, so he's
Absolutely.
vetted.
Yeah. And I'm
And
living
I want
proof.
us to
Sam's our
win. I
guy.
want us to all win. And I told Stacey we having a money party.
Yes,
Let's
we're
go.
having a money party.
Yes.
We're definitely having a money party. Join it. Again, text party to 689-215-7664. We will see you in a couple hours because we're going to go get started.
Let's go, guys. The more you learn, the more you earn. So let's go earn together, guys.